Oh, Steve and Larson! Don't you dare be sour. Clap for yourselves and feel the power. Yes. And all you people out there, you're watching Going In Raw with Steve and Larson.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And the Enforcer.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And, of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Filling in for the Enforcer. I'm sorry, filling in for Larson today is the Enforcer. Hey, man, thanks so much for filling in today. It's his anniversary weekend, so he's out getting drunk in wine country. Lucky
Absolutely.
guy. Lucky
I know, right? He's lucky. He delayed this so he could watch Extreme Rules with you guys.
That's true.
He was the one that took the bullet for you for that one. So I'm just filling in. Yeah. If you feel Larson withdraws, have no fear. I'm just keeping the seat warm. He will be back on Monday, and I am here helping fill in, get you guys up to date on the first night of the WWE draft.
Yeah.
Exciting times.
You know, I'll be honest with you. I wish he'd go on vacation a little more often, but that's just me. Let's talk about,
Is that a shoot?
Is that a shoot? Walk me through that.
Walk me through that. Yes.
Let's talk about the draft. Let's walk through the draft. Couple interesting pieces being moved. Yes. I've got a stick up my ass on one of these, man. I'm not happy at all about one of these. Some of them, I actually we sort of predicted, Larson and I, or me over on Wrestle Juice. Go check out that YouTube channel while Larson's not here. Of course, the obvious picks. Number one draft pick, the Tribal Chief, went to Smackdown. Fox obviously loves Roman Reigns on their channel. So
they acknowledged him.
And so that both champions didn't end up on SmackDown. Raw pick next, got Big E.
Yep.
The third and fourth picks were very interesting, though. The Raw Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair, drafted over to SmackDown.
Yes, she did. And then I really would have thought, since it seemed like they got the men's champ, then they picked the other men's champ, then they picked one of the women's champions. I figured, hey, Becky Lynch is going to come off the table here then, right? She's got the belt now. No, Bianca Belair, first round pick, fourth one, second one for Raw. She's going to be heading on over to Raw. Kind of leads to that theory that you and Larson had, that if she's going over there, they like to keep couples together for the most part. So probably Montez is going over there, but is he going with Dawkins?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. And then, we can, no. And then I don't know how much you want to get into these draft picks if you want to get them through the show, but like you said, there were a lot of head scratching picks in my opinion later on down in these other rounds where I'm like, these guys could have been picked up off of the waiver wire.
You're talking, when you say these guys, you mean Happy Corbin.
I mean Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss.
Well, they were a team together, so
they were a team together. Yeah, I know. It was like, here's a free gift with purchase, I assume.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were that one, and then also shout out to Hit Row getting picked up. All of them getting scooped up that awesome. Way. I was happy to see that. You saw someone else later down the road. They got called up from NXT. Austin Theory. We kind of already assume that that wedding, the Index wedding, was his swan song. It was nice to see him wrap that up, and he's going to be heading over to Raw.
There's a great chat here from Michael Sodope. Says, "What if the split of the Street Profits and Dawkins joins New Day?" So here was my huge issue of the night. The New Day should never be split from the draft. They should never be. Yeah. And once again, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston as a tag team were split away from Big E on Raw. They're going to SmackDown. And we just got a taste of them being back together, and it's great.
I know, right?
It's
awesome.
great.
Loved it. I mean, Monday, right? We got New Day versus Bloodline.
Yeah.
Great match, and I know that Lashley went in there and wrecked everybody, which I absolutely loved. Yeah. But there was still a lot of meat on that bone still.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And especially if you've got it to where, and we'll touch on this, where Roman was upset that the Usos hadn't gotten picked yet and wondering what was going on. I'd hate for them to all be split up. I'd hate Roman to be out there by himself without the Usos. So I really hope they work a way around. And I think in our watch along for Rampage, somebody mentioned if they could do like a swap there where they get traded or they drafted to Raw.
Yeah, tomorrow fight here. I don't know if he originally said this, but he's reiterating it here regardless. Yeah. He says, unless the Usos are because that was a big story beat tonight. Yeah. Roman trying to make sure that Heyman gets it done so that the Usos do get drafted to SmackDown. And if they get drafted to Raw, if he pulls, some shenanigans and says, fine, do a trade then, which sends the New Day back to Raw. That could be very interesting. I would love that. I hope they do it. Now that we've said it and put it out there, it's probably not going to happen. Yeah. But goddamn, I'd love to see that. I think that'd be absolutely great. We can try to figure out this Bianca Belair. Let's just start off with the first round, then we'll go through the show, and then we'll talk about the other rounds. So, I mean, that's how SmackDown did start. Roman Reigns first, Big E second, Charlotte third, Bianca Belair goes to Raw. Let's talk about that really quick. So Charlotte's obviously the champion. So one of two things is going to happen. Either Becky's going to follow Bianca to Raw, which I kind of doubt would happen unless Rollins goes there too.
Exactly.
Which is possible, but Edge just went to Raw because I think they're splitting them up. So Becky stays on SmackDown. Doesn't that mean Charlotte loses her title on like Monday or between now and because between now and Crown Royal, the draft doesn't actually take effect until the day after Crown Jewel, which we dubbed Crown Royal here on the show. For anybody who's confused, it was a joke that goes back years. So the day after Crown Royal, so there's like 3 weeks that Charlotte could easily lose that title. Alexa Bliss is reported to be gone for a couple months at this point. Does Bianca show up on Monday, pissed off about what happened at the end of the match tonight, and beat Charlotte for a huge win?
There you go. I wasn't thinking about that. I forgot that Charlotte had interfered at the end there. And I could see that, especially. I know that there's some people that are going to be weird about why'd you draft all these people, then it takes into effect 3 weeks. I am actually a big fan of the fact that they said we're going to do all of this drafting here, much like a real draft, much like the NFL, much like all of this, where you don't immediately have the draft a week before training camp. There's some time in there. We digest the rosters, the roster moves, the things that change, and then there is a starting point. Yeah. Even though they did say that SmackDown next week is a season premiere. They should have saved a season premiere for after they've done all of these roster things, but whatever. That's just me nitpicking. But yeah, I actually like the fact that you have 3 weeks now to make deals where you could have just imagine like Heyman isn't able to work a trade immediately for the Usos to get over there if they get drafted by Raw. He's got 3 weeks before it goes into effect to work whatever deal. And it may work it into a part where he had to give some concessions to possibly Brock without having knowledge of doing it to have the tribal chief be satisfied with having the Usos back, possibly a cage match, possibly no outside interference, barred from ringside, whatever it may be. So there's a way for them to work it, and I like the 3 weeks to sort of figure it out. We want long-term booking. We don't like hot shot week to week.
Yeah.
Here's a chance to get 3 weeks worth of a story working here for the whole roster.
Wouldn't it be awesome if they did that? I would love that if they had like 3 weeks where like still moves are being made and negotiations are taking place. You get the superstars involved in that kind of stuff. They lobby, you know, Sonya and Pierce to go to Fox and USA. I think that'd be great. I hope they do that. I'm sort of doubtful they will because generally they don't do cool shit. After the first picks were announced, Roman Reigns comes down. He says, as the back of my shirt says, "We the ones." He says, because I'm number one. He says, so Baltimore, acknowledge me. They start booing him, and Heyman says, that's not loud enough, not surprising from a room of Baltimoreans, nor for anyone who is the number 1 draft pick. He says, before Extreme Rules, you had to say the undefeated demon. You can't say that anymore because that demon ran up against an exorcist named Roman Reigns. But like a shark that circles around the island of relevancy, this shark swims looking forward, and what this shark looks forward to is Crown Royal, which will not be held in Suplex City because I assure you, the Beast will come up against the Suplexorcist, Roman Reigns, which is a mouthful. He says, because Reigns is going to remain your Universal Champion, and he will smash at Crown Royal Brock Lesnar. And that brings out Brock Lesnar. He comes out. He's got the sleeveless lumberjack shirt. Looks completely ridiculous.
He's looking like Steve when he does his Wrestle Juice videos in the morning.
Yeah,
got his flannel on there,
got
man.
The flannel,
looking tough.
Like it's tough, but I don't have
street tough.
I got to get a sleeveless flannel, man, for those Wrestle Juice videos.
Oh, dude, how to do it, man?
Just
chop those sleeves off, man.
Just chop them off. Can't find another flannel like that. So he shows up. Roman and him jaw a little bit. Roman lays in a punch. Brock hits a German suplex and then another. The Usos show up. Brock takes them out as Roman escapes. Brock goads Roman into trying to get back into the ring, but Roman doesn't bite on it. Roman instead hits an F5 on Jay to stick it to Roman, and then he gives him another because Roman still won't get in that ring. That's it. That's the end of the segment. We do see Brock a little bit later, but before that, we have an interview with Charlotte Flair. She's asked, how is your strategy going to change now that you're on SmackDown? And she says, well, first of all, I demand a congratulations.
Yeah.
And
where are your manners?
Where's your manners? She says, of course, Fox took the opportunity to draft the most decorated women's champ in history. Long live the queen. So it sounds like it's going to be more of the same from Charlotte. I will say this, that outfit of hers was amazing. There was a lot of really good looking outfits tonight on SmackDown.
Yeah. Looks great. I know that we'll talk about it, but Seth's jacket when he walked in there and you see him milling about, and it said like Seth Rollins. It was like sort of like it wasn't out. It was sort of like layered in underneath of his jacket where it just looked so great. And I was like, man, like that dude needs to design some hockey jerseys, dude. Mm-hmm. He's got great ugly looks, man, and that's what a good hockey jersey needs, man. That's
Absolutely.
Great, though.
Absolutely. So then we had Kevin Steen. Get used to calling him Kevin Steen. Used to that.
Yes,
he is gone, and his booking right now, it just
shows you that.
Didn't even have a promo this week.
Nope.
Comes out against Happy Corbin, who prior to the match introduces his new sidekick, Madcap Moss.
Madcap Moss.
Is there a phrase in the English language more indicative that it was that the person who came up with it was over 60 years old than Madcap?
Madcap. I honestly thought it was Mad Cat.
Me too at first.
Because I'd never heard a Madcap.
Yeah.
I've heard of a Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
I've heard of like you're mad, like you're crazy, you're insane, which was like what a Mad Hatter, but a Madcap?
Yeah.
I didn't. And then he seemed look, man, Moss, I'm glad that he's up at the main roster. I'm glad that he's doing somewhere. He's got a distinct look and they're dressing him well, okay?
Yeah.
But just that whole thing where he's just a guy who just like laughs at stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Is that a gimmick?
Yeah.
Just sit there and just like could you imagine?
No.
Like you're here, Like, you're happy, Corbin.
Yeah.
You're happy. You got your cash flow. You've made all of this other stuff. And then, like, either Larson or myself is just here. And then it's terrible. How far can you go with that?
I'll be honest with you.
I'll be shut down in a week.
Some might argue that's the existence of going in Raw, but maybe not the people with us. Anyways. Corbin introduces, this is Riddick Moss, but now he's Madcap Moss because he's a Madcap guy. Yeah. He tells terrible jokes. He told a terrible one. I'm not even going to repeat it. It's so bad.
So bad. Move on.
Corbin versus Kevin Steen here.
Kevin Steen. Yes.
Thanks to Madcap Moss, Kevin Steen, who had been dominating the match, ends up eating an end of days on the outside of the ring, and then ends up eating an end of days on the inside of the ring and loses this match. I don't know exactly when his contract is out, but I imagine we can see a lot more of this kind of stuff over the next couple months, assuming that his contract still lasts a couple more months.
I can assume, much like you said, he's going to show up and he'll get his intro music. He won't hand it a mic because they're afraid he's going to say something that they don't want him to. And then he's slowly going to morph into a guy who's just going to eat a lot of pins and either be taken off of TV, and then right before his contract's over, is going to come back again to eat a bunch of crap that we're not going to be down with. Then we're going, yep, it's over.
Yeah.
He's off he goes. Confirmed.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's basically what it is. And also, like Steve said, do yourself a favor. Get used to calling him Kevin Steen, because I still struggle with Daniel Bryan and Bryan Danielson.
So that is fucking hard. That one is really hard.
That's tough, dude.
Because every time, I think you can just get away with saying Brian because that's his first name,
what
right?
I do, yeah.
But like, you always want to refer to a person as their last name, right? Like
Danielson.
You want to say Danielson, but it's a lot. It's so much easier to say Brian. So I'll probably just keep on saying Brian.
Say Brian.
But that one's a hard one. Every time I want to use his full name, I always say, and then Daniel Bryan. That is one of the few times WWE actually got a name change completely right.
Yeah, they got right. It's like, what's your name? We're going to reverse it.
Yeah.
And it's going to stick. And you're like, you know what? Yeah, you're right.
It's going to be, we're going to shorten it, make it catchy.
Yeah.
Anyways, after that, huge announcement. King of the Ring and Queen's Crown tournaments begin next week on the season premiere of Smackdown. So this is something that had been reported, I believe, by Andrew Zarian, the Mat Men podcast, that this was happening, and I think he even got the date right on it. So that's cool. That's exciting stuff. Who's your early pick for both of these tournaments? Like, there was a video package for them, but I cannot assume that any of the people in the video package are a lock to be in this thing even. Like, WWE just has video footage laying around.
I think they're going to do, one's going to be a joke, fluky one, where it's going to be one like, oh man, I can't believe it. You know what? Somehow they're going to work that Carmella having a mask now going to protect her thing. So I'll go Carmella. I know people are like,
no, that's good. That's
Carmella.
Actually a really good pick.
And then for the men's one, I'll go with the one who actually wants it. And he could probably politic for it, Xavier Woods. Yeah,
man, I really hope so. I really hope it's Woods. I really do.
You see, there's like right here, Liv. He's saying white brownie. Liv is in his heart, but he thinks Carmella's winning it. That's kind of like, I really want someone else to win it, but I always feel in these things, especially when they do a men's and women's Money in the Bank, one makes sense. The other one's sort of like, oh, why'd you go in that direction with it?
A couple of good answers here. Maddie Daddy says Shayna and Bobby Lashley. Those are really good picks.
Oh, you see, there you go. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna say it's Naomi, because she's in a thing with Sonya Deville right now, and it's actually
stick it to her,
pretty
right?
decent to stick it to her.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Naomi.
All right.
And I'm gonna go with, for the men, as much as I'd love to be Xavier Woods, I'm going to say it's going to be, you know what they might do? And this is terrible. Boogs,
huh? Oh, to go with Nakamura's one?
Larson's answer is the best. It should be, if it's not going to be Woods, it should be Apollo Crews. Because he's got the whole royalty thing going. It should totally be him.
It should, yeah. I like that one. I like that one.
Oh, Bearcat would be good.
Oh, yeah. Do we know if the finals are supposed to be at Crown Royal? Because Daniel's got it right there.
Yes,
man.
he does.
Yeah,
Mansoor.
Matt Mansoor. Yeah.
If the finals at Crown Royal, you're completely right. It's Mansoor.
It's gonna be Mansoor. Yeah.
This entire thing is just to give him a crown.
It's just to give him a crowd and give him a massive pop.
Yeah.
Over there. Yep.
So moving on. Draft time again. Smackdown gets Drew McIntyre. We saw this coming a mile away. This dude was doing jobs on the way out.
Yep. I believe there's an old Chick Hearn saying. He said you could read it with Braille. Like you could see it's so simple, so easy that it's like, yeah, of course, man. He's gonna move on. Because what else could he do on Raw? I know, like, because Big E's got the title, he can be put into that. But come on, man. Like I think him needing a freshening up with his big old sword needs to go on new to SmackDown.
I think he's probably still going to get that title match against Big E. They set it up on Raw. Clearly, they knew that he was going to go to SmackDown. Yeah. So that's probably still going to happen. But that was interesting. Raw keeps RK Bro. No surprise there. SmackDown gets the New Day. Fuck you, WWE, for doing that. Unless this is all part of a big ruse and they end up back with Big E, in which case I will recant my fuck you. And then Edge, assuming he doesn't get arrested for murder of Seth Rollins for going to his home and drinking orange juice out of the bottle. Edge is headed to Raw. Which we kind of thought was, Larson, I think, mentioned he thought that was going to happen also.
But the thing is, it's like, is Edge planning on, I know he said, like, when he's there, he wants to be a full-time guy. When he's in a program, wants to be there full-time. I'm just thinking here as a pick. Like, this is a pick. This is your fourth group on the roster that you have here, and you're spending it on Edge, who's an older player. He's got name value. I know I'm probably thinking way too much in it, but why is Edge going at this point? That's just what I'm really thinking if you're going to do a draft.
Yeah, he's a big name though. When he is there, he's a pretty big name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he a needle mover for Raw? Raw's all about trying to get these ratings going up against Monday Night Football. Is he a needle mover still?
A change of scenery, maybe. Like him versus AJ Styles. I don't know about it. People would be interested in it. I mean, Edge has never been he hasn't been lately. I mean, just from the ratings, he hasn't been a needle mover when he's been there. Like they tried to put him on NXT for a day, and that didn't really do much. So, like, I don't know. Like for the ratings, no. I like Edge on Raw because there's a bunch of like Edge versus, no, not Orton. Edge versus Riddle, Edge versus AJ, Edge versus, Big E. That could be fun, face versus face. There's a couple matches there that I think are interesting. And besides that, like there's nothing else for him to do on SmackDown.
It really is. Yeah. I'm looking at like who's going to be there. If they're positioning Keith Bearcat Lee as a heel, I'd actually be down with that.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
After that, we had an interview with Drew McIntyre. He talks about, a lot of people don't know this, but years ago, the Chosen One was on SmackDown. He says, he says he feels he has some unfinished business there. He says there's a dark cloud over SmackDown, referring to Roman Reigns, and he says the future holds the Universal title, and he holds the sword right at the camera there.
Right at the camera, yeah.
Edge comes out, drops a promo, says, I was backstage, and it made me realize with all this draft stuff, I am the only talent here that was on the very first episode of SmackDown. He says he's on his way to 100%, and he says, Seth, you want me to admit that you are better than me? Well, come out here and extract those words from my face. Seth shows up on the Tron. He's not there. He's laughing. He says, well, Edge, there's a few small problems with what you said. He says, you're not saying what I want you to say. You're not announcing your retirement. You're not saying I'm not Edge Light. But the bigger problem here is when you said you were coming to SmackDown, I didn't believe you because you're a liar. And I'm honest. The big problem is I'm not at SmackDown this week. I am, in fact, at your home, and it widens out and is the Casa de Copeland thing.
Copeland, yep.
So Edge, of course, goes running backstage. Seth knocks on the door. He's like, Beth. And then he tries to open it and realizes the door is unlocked. So he goes in. He takes his coat off. He's got an amazing coat on the outside, and he's got another great coat on the inside. And he sort of makes himself at home. He grabs some OJ and an apple out of the fridge. He sits down at the table, drinks some OJ out of the bottle, which is gross.
Yep.
He says,
feet up on the table, too.
Feet up on the table. He looks
just
over.
Disrespectful.
He sees the kid's artwork, talks some shit about that. He says he goes over to, like, the little family lounge area. He sees a family picture above the fireplace, and he's like, oh, what a beautiful family. He says, your daughters are gorgeous. Thank God they look like Beth. Yep. He sits on what looks like an extremely comfy-looking chair.
That looks nice.
Turns on the fireplace with his fancy-looking remote.
That looked great too, by the way. I want one of those remotes to control the house. Dude.
It looked like the little hand unit in Quantum Leap. Looked like
dude,
a Ziggy.
Like that thing right there looked like a whole like self-contained like phone there. It was like
right.
That thing, dude, like that's one of those. That's what I want. Like one. It looked like something out of Starship Enterprise or Quantum Leap, some shit from the future. Man, looked great. Yeah, and just the fact he sat there, ate the apple. He clicked on the fireplace. He's like making himself at home, and he grabs the apple, and just tosses it on the floor. He's like, I'm pretty sure he
burned a fart into the chair too.
I'm sure he did. Man.
I had some T-Bell on the way here.
I'm sure he crop dusted along the way, dude.
Yeah, right. All that little dance he was doing.
Oh yeah. He was just doot. Yeah, he clowned on the kids' backpacks hanging there. Yeah. By the way, nice use of the command strips to holding those backpacks to their good job on you, Beth and Adam. Good job.
Well done. So we have Edge backstage on the phone. Feverishly talking to Beth, telling her to go to her brother's house. Yeah. And he said he was going to send, it was like, Dan and Dave or something, over to the house to check on them. And apparently in the Cultaholic stream, one of our chatters mentioned that in the Cultaholic stream, they mentioned that it was the real shoot first names of FTR who are really close with Edge and live nearby.
Yes. So that's nice. So Edge, AEW confirmed.
Forbidden Door
wide open. Thank you, Edge. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So then we had Carmella, what was supposed to be Carmella versus Liv Morgan. But before the match starts, Liv goes after Carmella. She gets out because she was going for her face. Says, "You bitch! That's the last that's the last chance you'll have to destroy my face." And then she says, ladies, and she turns around and they're putting something on her face, and Sherms turns around and there's this ridiculous like protective face mask that's all like encrusted with, I don't know, bedazzled stuff or whatever.
That's what I wrote exactly down. That was a bedazzled mask right there, man. Yeah. And then there was a you look stupid chant from the crowd.
They gave her the shit.
Yep.
So Melly gets back in there and Liv's like, what the hell is that supposed to be? And Carmella sucker punches her, hits an X Factor, and then the match doesn't happen. It just
doesn't even happen. Yeah. Nope. That's it. And then they go immediately as Carmella's like, preening how happy about it. They immediately go to the ramp for round 3.
More draft.
More draft action for the third round of this one. Once again, I find it weird, like all these years beforehand. I find it funny that all of these things where the years before, because Raw was a 3-hour show, they would get 3 picks per round.
Yeah.
This one, not so much the case.
Yeah, a little weird.
So with this one, first pick in the third round, we get the mentioned before, Happy Corbin with his Madcap Moss friendo going there. Mm-hmm. And then not to be outdone, Raw decides we're going to get, which I don't get because you can float around. They get the tag team champs. They get Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH.
Well, I guess the idea
but I guess that's their home base. Right?
Yeah, if they lose the titles, they stay on Raw.
That's where they would be. Yeah. And our first NXT call-up, not 1, not 2, not 3, but all 4 members of Hit Row are heading to SmackDown, which I'm excited for.
There was a report that Top Dollar had a match against Cedric Alexander in a dark match tonight on SmackDown. Nice. They got to look at him, and I'm really excited about this. Obviously, number one, Hit Row gets to leave that dumpster fire of bullshit called NXT 2.0. He is currently the North American champion. You would think he's been in a Brian Cage, Ricky Starks-esque endless feud with Legado. Maybe Santos Escobar is going to be the guy to take that title. I kind of feel like it's going to be like a 2.0 guy, like a Tony D'Angelo or a Von
making
Wagner.
his debut.
It could be the debut match.
Didn't we think when we were watching that 2.0 after we saw Braun Breaker destroy LA Knight quickly, and then Imperium came out next with two people we had never heard of? We're like, oh, dude, they're about to fucking kick this shit into overdrive here. Yeah. They're about to just wipe the floor with them. Maybe now they're going to do it. It's like, okay, look. Hey, man, congratulations. You're going to SmackDown here. Hey, this Tony D'Angelo here is going to pick that belt up off you. Oh, so we're going to put together a match? No, he's just going to bury you quick and off you go.
Yeah, squash match from Tony D'Angelo.
Match, yep. Gets that belt. Hey, oh, look what I found swimming in the dock.
Do you think, what's more likely in your opinion, an honest opinion, Santos or a 2.0 guy?
Head or heart?
Head, of course, because head is where the logic lies. It's gonna be like Ridge Holland, right?
It's a 2.0 guy.
Yeah, it's 2.0 guy.
Yeah, Ridge Holland, Von Wagner, Tony D'Angelo, Joe Gacy, something like that.
Could be you know what they could do? They might actually do this. Carmelo Hayes might cash in.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Or I know that we were thinking with this Braun Breaker thing. Picks up the North American one, says, hey, look, I got a belt here too.
Look at me, you piece of shit.
Yeah, look at me. Yeah.
Want a friend, get a dog. I got a title, you piece of shit.
Title. Yeah, there you go. You see, they say all men are created equal.
Exactly,
you can tell that's not the case.
Yeah, all North American are created equal.
Yeah.
Don't laugh at that. It's not funny. So Hit Row and then Raw.
What's in a
That's terrible.
North American.
Yeah. Dressed to go down. Raw. Hey, what do you think? What do you think of Impact in that Digital Media Championship? The fuck kind of name is Digital Media Championship?
I don't know about that. I like the way that we had all collectively agreed that like a network title when there was a network made sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I know that Digital Media title. That's a mouthful. I don't know. DMT. I guess you shorten it down to, but yeah, that's just a horrible name. The belt doesn't look all that good either. You know, but it's Impact. It's not supposed to look good, right? You know,
it fits. Well, it's Impact, and it's not supposed to make any sense, which is great for us in our monthly pay-per-view watch-alongs.
Oh, absolutely.
Raw keeps Bearcat Lee. I just refer to him as Bearcat Lee because that's way cooler than adding the Keith to it.
Yeah,
Bearcat Lee stays
Bearcat
on
Lee
Raw.
sounds good. Yeah,
a lot of business there for Bearcat Lee. After that, we had the New Day and the last match of the Street Profits. In my opinion, probably, maybe not, versus the Dirty Dogs and American Alpha. Montez wearing that Alpha Academy. Alpha Academy. And
that's all good, man.
Yeah, what does it matter?
There was someone that was saying, I'm sorry, NXT. They're saying that they wore their old NXT outfits when they came out there when they tagged with the New Day. They had their old school green gear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So don't they still wear old school? Don't they still wear green?
Well, they mixed it up with like that red and purple for the Extreme Rules. Okay. They're always mixing it, but I don't think I've seen that green one since either early main roster or when they were at NXT.
Man, that'd be something else. Maybe they do know something. I mean, I just felt like this match, it was either going to be the end for the Street Profits. I think they should split them up. I really do. But they might not. They might send them together to Raw, but I feel like splitting them up is the way to go. Montez sporting the rib tape, the Luger rib tape that we know and love. And the New Day end up getting the win with their finish on Probably Rude. I think it was Rude.
I think it was Rude. Yes, it was Rude. Yes, sir.
Just thinking of these 4 guys, like Rude's going to be the one to take the pin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a cool spot before they went to commercial where Montez was running through everybody, and then they had gotten Otis outside, and Otis catches him and just shucks him right into the barrier as SmackDown rolls on, and then they went back into the ring and they continued on. You knew we were coming down to the end when everyone was outside getting all their stuff in.
Yeah,
you knew that, okay, whoever's in here, which I think it was Xavier, or no, I think it was Dawkins, and he was there with Rude, and then New Day tags in, they get their finisher, and then they get the pin. Everyone's cheering, everyone's looking good. New Day rocks and all that. Then they cut to Bianca Belair in the background, tuning up, getting ready for a match with Sasha Banks later on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Draft time, more draft. This was the last draft bit. This was actually wonderfully delivered because of her current feud with Naomi. Yeah. Sonya Deville says, well, I didn't choose this. Yeah. SmackDown gets Naomi, which is funny because Sonya's on Raw and both. SmackDown.
Yeah. But I did like the fact that they were in yellow, not green. So sorry about that. But it seemed like they were wearing like old school gear in my eyes. But yeah, I like how even after she mentioned Naomi, and then they cut to Adam Pearce doing the Rey and Dom Mysterio pick, Sonya Deville still looked pissed off that she had to say Naomi's name. She stared right at the camera or straight ahead. It was just like, Naomi, ooh.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Yeah, then you had Rey and Dom heading over to Raw.
Man, that bummed me out. They should have separated them.
I think so too.
How great would it be if I mentioned this in my Wrestle Juice video about the draft? If the last image Rey has before he leaves, he hugs his son. He's like, "Hey, kid, you're on your own now."
Yeah.
He leaves right as Sami Zayn is coming up and putting his arm around Dom.
Oh, could you imagine?
The next time they meet up, like Dom is a piece of shit.
Oh man, he thinks everything's a conspiracy.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, and then speaking of a good old school name that you know, SmackDown picks Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
To move on over there, and oh man, Austin Theory getting drafted, going to Raw.
Back to Raw.
I love how like they had everyone's bona fides, like, oh, this one Intercontinental Champion had done this. Jeff Hardy has won this, but champion. Austin Theory just said Austin Theory.
Well, yeah. I mean, they could have given him youngest superstar to ever be on Raw,
ever be in WrestleMania or something.
They're sort of retconning out his pre NXT run.
That's what it seems like. Yeah. Just sort of like this fresh new face here that you haven't seen. Forget about the Capital Wrestling Center days where we were like in Thunderdome or something like that. Retcon all that out. Fresh new face coming in. Yeah, it didn't happen. They made it up.
It's fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah, I really hope, and I'll believe it when I see it. They're probably going to clean slate him. I really want just some of his personality from NXT because he was so damn good. But it's main roster. They're not going to consider that. It's going to be like the end of One Flew Over This Cuckoo's Nest, where it's like Jack Nicholson had all this like scumbag personality, but then they lobotomized him, and so Austin Theory now is just going to be like a normal dude.
Yeah,
either a smiling baby face or hey, I'm a badass. I really hope that it's just main rosters there's always, it's like they're bringing on brand new writers to the show, to like your favorite show, and then all of a sudden they cared. Larson and I have both noticed that this season with What We Do in the Shadows. Like the characters, it's like they got new writers because the characters are acting kind of out of whack. And I know that's how it's going to be with Austin Theory, but maybe not. He's still terrific. He's a great talent. I'm looking forward to Austin Theory.
Oh, yeah. That's that. Actually, I think that's what happened when you sort of checked out of the West Wing when Sorkin left.
Oh, you're exactly right.
You're like, all these people, but the way they're acting and the way it's written looks weird. Mm-hmm. And it took them like a season for it to sort of make sense or understand what the writers were doing wanting to give it, or the showrunners at that time. I think possibly, we may be in the same thing. We're just in this awkward, just getting to know you phase until they really hit the ground running. At least I hope. I want to stay positive with these call ups and we have to watch this stuff. So I really hope it's just going to be somewhat entertaining and engaging. Hope for the best, but expect the worst. I assume.
I agree. After that, we had a Jeff Hardy interview, but he didn't get one word in before that big beefy bastard Brock Lesnar shows up.
Eat it.
Which is a great little bit of storytelling, given that Brock was the first when he debuted. It was interrupting the Hardys.
Yeah, there you go. It's a nice little bit of circling back around on that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Brock. I love when Brock Lesnar gets on the microphone. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
He says, "Kayla, get out of here." Yeah. He says, "I have a public announcement. I'd like to thank Paul Heyman. Because of him, Brock Lesnar is a free agent because of Paul Heyman. And because of that, Brock gets to do what Brock wants to do." Yep. So evidently he is going to be brandless. He will be going to whatever brand he wishes to go to.
Which makes sense. I mean, if Undertaker ever comes back, they wouldn't strap him to or a Goldberg,
right?
Anything like that. He wouldn't be. He may make his outpost with whoever he's feuding with at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
So wait, once again, I wouldn't waste a pick as much as Brock Lesnar may bring. If this was a shoot, if this was real, I would not waste a pick on Brock because you'd never see him.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
With Brock, I absolutely agree. Same with Undertaker. I agree. Edge is there. Yeah, Edge is there. Yeah, I'm actually kind of shocked at how much Edge is there. But I think some of that had to do with his injury. He was out injured. They should just, just kayfabe his injury whenever he has to be off TV. So backstage. It's got the bloodline. They're sitting there and they're all, sulking.
Fuming.
Yeah, fuming. Roman says, my good friend, Paul Heyman. My good friend. Are you good friends with Brock Lesnar? Let me ask you something, Paul. Are we good friends? And Heyman says, oh, you're my tribal chief. And he says, if we are good friends, it means you look out for me. And if you look out for me, you look out for my family. Why were my cousins drafted to SmackDown tonight? And he says, well, your cousins are going to be drafted to SmackDown on Raw.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm your wise man. And Roman says, you're the wise man when I say you are.
Ooh, Rose's voice on him right there.
He did. Man. He says, let's follow the strategy. Let's stick to the plan. Go to Raw. Make sure my cousins are drafted to SmackDown. Do you understand? Oh, yeah, tribal chief.
Yes, my tribal chief.
So then he leaves, and Roman tells Usos, he says, hey, go with him in the Raw. Make it clear you're to be drafted to SmackDown. And if you're not, leave him for dead on Raw.
Awesome promo there, by the way, and the stuff how it always just seems like Roman's always within half a beat from blowing up because he's always with that face tick like that, and you saw a little bit of it when he blew up on Paul. Mm-hmm. And I always he wants to be angry, but he knows, hold on, I'm the leader of I'm the tribal chief. I got to keep my cool.
Yeah,
and he's just always just sort of keeping it in when he has to. But I was going to allude to this point. We hear Goldberg say he's going to kill Bob Lashley.
Oh yeah, lots more death.
You hear that, it says, hey, if this doesn't happen, leave him for dead.
Mm-hmm.
Have they loosened? Is this part of the getting grittier?
Probably.
It's
honestly.
You can say, we're going to kill somebody. Leave them for dead. Words that wouldn't have been touched, a year and a half ago.
They said shit how many times on NXT? At least twice?
I
mean more?
Lashley in that promo for
Lashley
Raw.
loves saying shit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't bleep it. They just let it run right at 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So.
God, was it 4 times on NXT? Wow. I know Andre Chase said it. Braun Breaker said it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the other two. If somebody can tell us who the other two people are said shit, that would be great. Yeah. Main event, Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. This is a really terrific match. You'd mentioned this earlier. Becky Lynch came out for commentary. She looked like, Maggie was telling me earlier, she looked like somebody off Cyberpunk 2077. She looked like $1,000,000. Those sunglasses, the outfit. She's like super jacked these days.
Yeah.
And she was hilarious on commentary.
Oh man, yeah. There were so many times like she would put Cole in her place, like oh, you're in this triple threat. It's like, I know how this works. I know how this works. What do you think I am, an idiot, Cole? I know how this stuff works here. And she's just like dumping on him. Hell of a match in the ring, but I was cracking up. I was more focused on what Becky was laying for this thing, just saying like, I haven't lost my belt. I haven't lost anything since WrestleMania 35. I've had it all this time. Haven't gotten beaten for that belt that Charlotte has. All this, it was great. I felt bad. I was paying more attention to Becky on commentary, which I loved because I love Bianca. I love Sasha as well in the ring. They were getting down with it, there were so many things. I think there was one part where Becky said something about she was filling a gaping hole, and then she chuckled at her own damn joke, like underneath her breath. Wow. I was amazing there, man.
Yeah. Like you said, it was a really good match, though. Bianca looked like $1,000,000. Sasha was giving her the business, but Bianca kind of had an answer for everything that Sasha had. However, in the end, they ended up on the outside, and Bianca gets shoved into Becky, and they go at it a little bit. Back in the ring, there's like sort of a pinning combo that goes down near the ropes. Becky holds down Bianca Belair's hair, and that ends up getting her rolled up, basically, or like a pinning type thing from Sasha Banks, who gets the win there. Afterwards, Charlotte comes in, big boots. Who did she in the end? Who did she end up giving that big boot to? I didn't see. I turned away for like a second.
Was
Maggie, it Bianca?
Maggie could help us out with that one. I'm sure she was all focused in that, but it may have been
Sasha. Okay,
Sasha.
White Brownie says Sasha.
Yeah,
okay.
And then also I was about to allude to this as well. With those heels that she had on, that she had on when the promo beforehand, same outfit, looking like $1,000,000 out there, just laying out big boots.
Oh man, it was great.
And I love the fact like she held the belt. Because she was on the show now. Becky hops onto the commentary table. She's holding her belt. And then Charlotte just looks over and just, whatever. You don't matter. Whatever. I got the belt right here as we got the watermark in the corner.
And Becky got up on the table and she held her title high. Charlotte held her title. It was awesome having three of the horsewomen out there.
Yeah.
And Chad confirmed it was a boots to both. I figured it was. Right. That's really good stuff. And then it was confirmed earlier in the night that of course at Crown Royal we're going to get that triple threat: Bianca, Becky, and Sasha for the title. So that all that business about women's matches in Saudi Arabia, that is done with, because they got a few now.
It seems that way.
Let's go ahead and if you want to look at the Twitch chat, I'll see if we have any questions on the Patreon.
And who made a run in here? Here's Buddy. Buddy made a run in.
Buddy Butthole. What's up, Buddy Butthole?
Oh, all right. That's enough. All right. Yes. That's enough. Okay. She made a run in, and off we go.
Let's see here. Let's see if we have more questions here for SmackDown than that Rampage episode. We got a couple here. Okay, we already talked about that from David Matushek. Let's see here. Smurf Galloway, how do you think title switches should be done when there's a brand change of a superstar like Charlotte tonight? Should the belts be reassigned so they're not brand specific? That's a really great question. I think that they probably should be, to be honest with you. Like, don't call them SmackDown and Raw Women's Championships.
Yeah.
Call it, WWE and Universal Women's Championships. Why not do that?
Yeah. Because then when you call them Raw and SmackDown, you sort of write yourself into a corner as to, because I always found it weird. I think it was last time they did it, where New Day and Street Profits just handed each other the belts. Says, oh, well, you're the champ over here. We're on this show now. Oh, well, we're going to this one. Here, you take this belt. We take that. I really hope they don't do anything like that for this one. And like you said, Universal, heavyweight or just
Yeah.
WWE championship would be fine.
I couldn't stand when they had them just, hey, you give yours, you give. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. Like it's the same concept, but yeah, it's like, hey, this title right here is the one I have, because then it fucks with the lineage. You know,
exactly.
It's like, oh, then they got the Wikipedia clarifier there.
They just handed it off in the backstage segment on Raw or something like that. It's like, oh, great. Good. You know, I would think, honestly, for myself, I'm a man that loves a tournament.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to say, okay, you're not the champ here. You've gotten drafted away from it. Drop the belt. It's vacated. Let's have ourselves a tournament for it. It doesn't have to be like every person in there. You could say like, you know, hey, these people were in line. This other one, you've won a match. You've won a match. Mm-hmm. You've won a match. Okay, the three of you in a match for it.
Yeah.
I'd prefer to have that as opposed to, hey, here's my belt. Okay, here's your belt. Okay, now we move on.
Yeah. I always like the WWE title and the world title. I always like that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Dan Daniels here says, so which wrestling show are we going to get our first uncensored F-bomb? And who says it?
Oh, that's going to be a ways.
Yeah. It seems like we've gotten to the point where everyone seems to be okay with the S word.
Yeah.
The F word is a little bit harder, I would say. Mm-hmm. If it were to happen, and if Rampage keeps their slot, usually after 10 p.m., it's okay. You're looser with it, so you could probably get an F-bomb on Rampage. That's probably the smart money.
Yeah. I would say if it's in WWE, and I don't think it's ever going to happen in WWE, I would say it'd be Brock.
Yeah.
Brock.
Yeah.
They'd let Brock do it.
Yeah, or he would say it without telling anybody, and they go, well, what are you going to tell them? No? You know?
Yeah, the censor would, if the censor was late on it, yeah. Let's see here. Eddie Brock's Venom, who was your top 3 drafted tonight? And was there a surprise? In terms of surprise, so my top 3 would be, I'm very happy for Hit Row, so that's my number 1. Yeah. I'm very excited about that. Let's see here. My number 2 would be, I guess, Drew going to SmackDown. Yeah. And then I didn't see Charlotte going to SmackDown, so that was a big surprise.
Yeah, I would say the big surprise was Hit Row going as a group, because we had always thought, is Shane Strickland moving on because the other 3 have a little bit less experience. Swerve or Shane Strickland, as I know him from the local area around here. He's got all the tools. Yeah. Glad to see him go up there, but also I'm kind of I hope that this opens up the door to more faction groups.
I agree.
I kind of do, because that gives, once again, like how we said in the Rampage one with Hardy Family Office, it gives that group something to do, keeps them relevant. Yeah. I kind of hope that they do that as well, especially if you're bringing up talent and trying to establish them. That was number 1. I'm glad that Keith Bearcat Lee got a prominent spot there. That means that they're probably going to do something with him.
That's a good point.
Naomi as well, because just that fact that it has that play. Will she play into the Usos possibly being on Raw? Does something work with that where she works into a storyline? Once again, we're hoping that these next 3 weeks they groom something to make sense of a draft or like a side story. But I'm glad to see that Naomi did get picked, which means possibly doing something with her.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll end on this one. Davidicus here in chat has a great question. Says, I don't know if this has been asked yet, but who do you guys want to see Hit Row start a program with first? I think it'd be great if once everything's settled, Hit Row comes out against the Tribal Chief. So you got Hit Row versus Roman, and it's putting Swerve in a prominent spot. He can take a loss to the head guy and not really feel it that much. Gives him a huge spotlight. I would love to see Hit Row come out against the Bloodline to kick things off.
You know what would be great there? And I'm going to piggyback on that one. That was the one I was thinking before you said it. I'm glad with that one, but also it would play into a story that is already kind of there with the Usos and Naomi, getting them all together.
Oh yeah, that's
and
good.
work and fighting against Hit Row, against the Bloodline in the full effect.
Yeah, right.
With Naomi in there.
Yeah.
And that would make all the sense in the world. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I just hope that they put them in there prominent as is and not be what they were this week, which were like the greeters to NXT.
Yeah, dude. I honestly think they only have that role because they're not 2.0 because they're leaving. I mean, maybe they didn't quite know, but I mean, if Bruce and Vince are running the show, they probably knew that they were going to bring Hit Row up.
Yeah.
And so that's why they have them doing nothing right now.
Yeah. Or at least, work on the mic. We're going to need you to get on here. So here's a crowd. The crowd's going to be kind of for this thing. Mm-hmm. Roll into what's going to happen on the main roster.
Yeah.
Cut a big promo. Everybody talks. You're going to get interfered with right into a match. Mm-hmm. That's not main roster to start a show, I don't know what is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. All right, so that's going to do it for us. Unfortunately, once again, thank you very much for hanging out while Larson is off vacationing it up, drinking some vino, man. This guy,
boxes of wine are just being spilled everywhere.
Exactly. He's partying it up, so hopefully he's having a good time. But yeah, thanks so much, and thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Twitch chat, stick around. We're going to hang out for just a little bit, and then we're going to raid somebody. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.